So, how do we stay human when everything feels impossible? That's what we're talking about right now in this video version of the newsletter. Listen, I think the key is laughter. Laughter is not a distraction, it's the signal. It's the signal in the noise. And what it tells us as leaders, and we have to pay attention, is how trusted we are. Do employees have trust? Do they feel safe? You can't ignore it. It's really important. All right, so let's dive on in. Look, I have been feeling uncertain and scared lately. Yeah, I said it. And I'm a woman who came out of tech and comedy. So like very male dominated spaces. It takes a lot to like floor me because I've seen everything. It's not good. It's not good. I always like to joke that early on in my career, I worked for a semiconductor startup and we had a process for figuring out if chips were good and bad. And the holes labeled B, they were benign. And the holes labeled A, well, they were serious defects. They were problematic. So, as a woman who came out of tech, I spent a lot of time trying to rid the world of a-holes. It's not going great. It's not going well. But again, I'm a comedian. So, here's the thing. We're all feeling a little scared. The world is shifting underneath us. And what's happening is I find leaders really afraid to say, hey, I'm not doing well. It's not okay. And they're afraid because they're having to perform confidence. And we're performing. We're performing because it's not maybe safe in your environment to drop the guard, drop the veil, and say, look, I'm scared just like you. And what would that mean if we drop the performance a little bit? I call it theater. You hear me talk about corporate theater, innovation theater, all that stuff. It's really important. So we have to mind the theater and take that wall down. And it's everywhere. HR leaders are bearing the burden for everybody. They can't really say how they feel because everyone's feeling scared. I know innovators, their brains are jacked, but when our amygdalas are jacked and our cortisol is through the roof, we're just in a state of like, that does not allow our brains to be calmer and our nervous system to be calmer to be able to come up with great ideas. That doesn't work. I know storytellers are constantly asked to tell a story of what's next when the truth is they don't know. They don't know. And the honest truth is, not sure. And that's okay. And culture people are constantly running around trying to, you know, say the next best thing that is positive when even they don't know and they don't have answers and their systems are running on empty. So I get it and I feel you. As a former tech leader, I understand. So here's the thing. This is where laughter becomes a signal. I laughter allows us to it creates the neuro conditions. It's the neuro link, if you will, the neuro hack, the neuro whatever unlock, I like to say, because it calms our systems down, our brains down, reduces cortisol, and allows us to be in the space of reducing a perceived threat. Our bodies can't tell or fight or flight. We're still, even though there's no danger, we're scanning for danger, and our brains evolutionarily don't have another mechanism for that. So when we laugh, it's like, okay, it's safe here. That's the signal, and your employees feel safe. So it's really important that we create places where laughter is readily available. It's easy, it's accessible, it's in our teams, it's in our culture. It's really that important because it is creating the conditions for us to be innovative and creative and all those things. So it's really important. Now, look, I know it's hard, and I know that you might be thinking, okay, well, what does that look like? Well, it can look like a couple different ways. It can be leaders just being honest in your meeting saying, I don't have the answers. So let's talk about that. It can be leaning into the awkward. Um, that's a great question. I don't know. Here's the thing. We have to have a hard conversation. Now, before we have this awkward conversation. Can it get you anything? Some coffee, some tea, a head start for the exits because we're going to be locking it in 2 minutes, locking that door. Just have some fun, laugh at it because if you feel awkward, your team does, lean into it, lower the perceived risk of being able to say it. Go there, have the weird conversation, reframe with humor, the awkward moments. I worked with a team where they did a campaign and the campaign failed. So we had a meeting. I said, well, let's have some fun here. Let's reframe going from failure to turn that around and to funny. How do we go from failure to funny and find the humor in it so that we can lower the perceived risk and threat and come up with better ideas next time? So this campaign didn't do well, and I said, well, let's have a memorial. Let's have a fun funeral for this really bad campaign. And everybody laughed. We loved it. And somebody just out of the blue went, well, the campaign died doing what it loved, working way too hard. And we just all laughed. And then we just piled on. I was like, we were all like, it KPI died, and just we just heightened it. We just had so much fun. So, the important thing is that laughter creates a space where it's no longer a threat that we failed or we made a mistake or we learned, but it lowers all of that so we can try again, we can learn, we can grow, we can admit mistakes were made and move forward. And that's really important. So, what happens in our brains from a neurological perspective is we are creating the conditions for bravery and moving forward when we laugh. So, it's super, super important. Don't make a big deal out of it, leaders. Just for yourself personally, how can you show up differently? How can you admit you don't know? How can you laugh at, hey, I feel uncertain and scared, and laugh at it? Not because it's funny per se, but it's a very human response. We all feel that way. We all feel that way. So it's okay to let the guard down a little bit. Create the safe spaces in your meetings and in your teams to be able to have those conversations. Have the funeral for the thing that didn't work. Get it out on the table so there's no shame, there's no blame, there's only learning, and then we can move on. Lots of ways to do it. So, what I do, a lot of the work that I do in the world is I work with leaders and teams to help them take down fear and rigidity and create the conditions where they can speak up, they can do bold things, they can innovate, they can be creative, all the things because we are making it safe to wonder, to laugh, to try different things, to fail, to reframe. All those things become incredibly important. And laughter, my friends, is the signal. And I am convinced that every team should measure laughter. And I mean organic laughter, not fake laughter, but organic laughter because people feel safe and you feel it and you know it. And it's really important because I think staying human is the big work. And it's really hard today. And I get it. Um, I had to do a lot of really hard things. I built teams, I built products, I had to lay people off, people who, through no fault of their own, but because the company was running out of cash runway, they didn't do anything wrong. So it's really hard to make these decisions. And let's not pretend that it's easy. It's okay. I think you can really connect with your team and make it a bolder, braver space and give leaders the confidence that, look, you can be amazing and you can be fundamentally human at the same time. Because, my friends, staying human is the bold work. So, with that, read the rest of the newsletter. I hope you like it. Send it to friends if you like it. Sharing is caring and also maybe scaring because they are new to looking at it this way. Anyway, I'm Kathy Klotz-Guest. You can go to keepingithuman.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. If you're looking for talks, all that stuff, reach on out at keepingithuman.com. So I'm keeping it human. You keep it human too. And read the newsletter, pass it on. And if you have things that you are interested in me talking about, let me know because I'm always going to be talking about it. But I want to make sure it's not, at the lower level. This is not just tactical. I think this is big reframe. And humor is not soft leadership. And humanity is not soft leadership. It's the big work today that matters, especially in times of change. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.